הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Congregation Ormi, especially if it's your first time here in a while. Welcome to those who are joining from home through our live stream. And I want to give a special thank you to everyone who submitted artwork for tonight's service. If you notice a piece you sent in, you can tell people all about it during Oneg. We begin our service together with this responsive reading, and if the font is too small, I encourage you to come up to the front row. How good it is to gather tonight to celebrate gender diversity and Shabbat in a house of a God who loves each of us as we are created, without limit and forever.
How sweet and powerful it is to unite women and men, non-binary and trans folk together in the house of God who transcends human limits and categories.
How pleasant it is to gather together in a house of God who hears the prayers of all people everywhere. We pray on this Sabbath that all people will be able to escape oppression and taste the freedom of their own promised land. And since they're not here tonight, some of our religious school students submitted this piece, as you might tell. It's not from a museum, but it could be. So we continue with a song called Gesher Tsar Me'od. This is a saying from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who was a great teacher about human emotions in the Jewish tradition. And this is a piece about fear and what it is to live with fear. Unfortunately, we live in a world where a lot of people are afraid to be themselves. And I thought we could have this song in our service tonight as a reminder that it's important to create spaces where we're not afraid, where we can be truly welcoming of everyone, no matter our differences. So we've heard this like a couple years ago, so we'll do a little reteach, and if it goes well, it'll be our closing song. The Hebrew part goes, Kol ha'olam kulo. Try that. Kol ha'olam kulo. Gesher tsar me'od. Gesher tsar me'od. V'ha'ikar. V'ha'ikar. Lo lefached klal. Lo lefached klal. Then we've got English might be a little bit easier, and then you add the words I say or I said, as you'll see where it goes. So the English goes, the whole world is a very narrow bridge, and I said the most important part is not to be afraid. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and I said the most important part is not to be afraid. Back to the Hebrew. Kol ha'olam kulo. Gesher tsar me'od. V'ha'ikar. V'ha'ikar. Lo lefached klal. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and I said the most important part is not to be afraid. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and I said the most important part is not to be afraid. I'd like to invite up Isabel to light our Shabbat candles this week.
Each week, we light these beautiful candles to honor Shabbat, a sacred day that celebrates the full span of creation. Tonight, we especially honor the full span of gender among God's creatures. We recognize and celebrate the diversity of human identity and experience. May God and our community bless all those who do not fit neatly into the gender binary and embrace all those who may feel marginalized or excluded in some way. May we all know that we are loved and valued just as we are. May the light of these candles be a beacon of hope and comfort for all those who seek to live authentically and openly. May it guide us toward a path of understanding and acceptance, both within ourselves and in our relationships with others. May we continue to learn from one another and grow in compassion and understanding. May this Shabbat bring us all a sense of peace, joy, and belonging. Amen.
Try the top. Or the top of the side. There you go. We need a new matchbox. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. At this point in our service, we think of the week that has passed. Thank you, Isabel. And hold on to all of the good experiences from this past week. So if you had an experience that inspired gratitude, if you have some good news to share, no matter how big or how small, I invite you to share that joy with the community now. Yeah, Jeff?
Well, Isabel and I were very lucky to go up and attend our granddaughter's first graduation from preschool.
Mazel tov. Not medical school yet, but first step. Yeah. Joanne?
And to close that out, my baby daughter graduated from college, so I'm all done.
Mazel tov.
And I had a big family celebration, so.
It's wonderful.
Miss Amelia here just finished end-of-year testing for homeschooling, so.
Mazel tov. Way to go. I bet that's a relief. Yeah, Lori?
John and I went down to North Carolina to visit my sister and her husband, who were on a cross-country trip from Arizona.
Oh, awesome. So it's been a good week for education and family. So we thank God for all. Oh, yeah, Ron? All right, tell me at Oneg. I bet it's exciting. Okay. So we thank God for all of these blessings, including the blessing of simply being alive for this moment in time with the words of Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Invite up Ed to lead us in our next reading.
I run with the mystics out into the open field, leaping and shouting together, "Come, my beloved." There is no need to clarify if Shabbat is a bride, a groom, or a newlywed, a queen, a king, or a sovereign. Here, outside the confines of human-made walls, Shabbat is simply Shabbat. Delicious, gorgeous, peaceful, fierce, serene, and everything in between. Shabbat is my beloved, my delectable taste of the world to come.
Thank you, Ed. We continue with Lecha Dodi, written by the Mystics. Sorry. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Merosh mikadam nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumiori, Uri shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alaich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. And we rise together and face the entrance to symbolically welcome in the presence of Shabbat. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. I'd like to invite up Susan to lead us in our English reading, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh.
Yeah, Asher, I will be what I will be. I am not a vibrant ocean blue, nor as pink as the sunset sky. I am not the daughter you watched grow, nor will I ever be a guy. I am not anything you said I'd be. Instead, I am simply me.
Thank you, Susan. We continue with Am I Awake? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Please rise for our official call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai. Hamivorach Baruch Adonai Hamivorach Hamivorach Leolam Vaed Hamivorach Hamivorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. And we continue responsively. Twilight people. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight, for twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Many people wrestle with gender stereotypes and identity. Does this box fit me? Who am I really? Judaism embraces questions and finds holiness and meaning in such wrestling. Indeed, the name of our people, Yisrael, means those who wrestle with God and ourselves. Please rise for the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, bishivtecha b'veitecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, Uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitam kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. One of the most important teachings of the Torah is to love your neighbor as yourself. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. We are commanded to love all members of the human family. In the creation account of the book of Genesis, God creates us B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image. That means that all of us, no matter our gender identity, religion, skin color, nationality, economic status, disability, or sexual orientation, we're all reflections of the divine being who created us all. Therefore, when we act with love and compassion toward one another, we become holy. But holiness is not enough. Being holy means we become aware of our task to fix this broken world. I invite up Bruce to lead us in a reading.
The Holy within me. I've started saying yes to the Holy within me, and he is tender, and she is fierce, and they are strong. And he weeps, and she builds, and they grow, and he finds, and she seeks, and they whisper. And he sings, and she sings, and they sing. I am finding the Holy within me, this abundance that invites me to love myself and love the world.
Thank you. We continue with Micha Mocha. Yai lai 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 yai la 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 ya la lai yai lai 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 ya la 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 lai yai lai 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 yai la 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 ya la lai yai la lai lai ya la 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 lai Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai Micha mocha ne'etar ba'kodesh Nora tehilot osefele Nora tehilot osefele. I'd like to invite up Leah to... Oh, but before we read, some artwork from our religious school kids. So the prompt was something along the lines of draw how you celebrate your gender and being Jewish. So one of our students. And then another drawing, someone looking forward to her bat mitzvah. And now, yeah, thank you.
Being
a woman is hard work, not without joy and even ecstasy, but still relentless, unending work.
Men hurt inside as much as women do. We've just been taught to suppress it. So when we do actually cry or articulate our emotional pain, the odds are very high that even those displays are heavily muted. You probably have no idea how much we do hurt. Being a man is very lonely.
I think the batteries died in this one, so sorry.
I would love a break from transphobia. I dream of the day when people stop staring at me in public, trying to figure out my gender, and if they should attack me with words, fists, or other weapons. I am tired of having to be this strong just to get through the day. I need a break.
We continue with Bishamru celebrating a day of rest, a break from all the stresses of everyday life. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And we continue with a prayer for protection at night called Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom, L'Shalom, V'ha'amidenu Malkeinu L'Chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, all wrong from right, Amen. Amen. A blessing for my gender diverse ancestors. You who fought to live. You who prayed to the same God I do. You insisted upon your dignity even when the world said you had none. You who could not come out and held your secret until your dying day. You who were insulted, shamed, beaten, and brutalized, yet kept walking. You who contributed your fierceness, your originality, your art, and your voice to this world. I walk in your memory. I walk this path, smooth and chartered by your sacrifice, toward justice, toward holiness, toward freedom. Please rise for our central prayer, the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Lifnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatmeach Yeshua, Bene'eman Atah Lachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Please be seated. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov beinecha levarech Et Amcha Yisrael Bechol eitz uvechol shah Bishlomecha Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam. At this point in our service, we think of loved ones who are in need of healing. Tonight, we think especially of Cindy Scruggs, Jessica Crow, Amanda Furman, Jessica Gill, Beth Levine, Rabbi Jerry Levy, Natalie Rayner, and Alex Simon. Are there other loved ones whose healing we wish to pray for tonight?
Lisa Fryman, Elsa Fryman, and Steve Parker.
Judy Moore.
Dennis Ahern.
With the power of community, we pray for their refuah shlema, the complete healing of body and or spirit, with the words of Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. After almost a decade of being a rabbi, every Torah portion now brings up unique memories. This week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, was the portion for the very first bar mitzvah I officiated as an ordained rabbi. I also remember the Torah portion for the first bat mitzvah I officiated here at ORME, and the portion for the first bet mitzvah. 13 years ago, when today's B'nai Mitzvah kids were born, I was still in rabbinical school, and no one had ever heard of a bet mitzvah before. If you are hearing that term for the first time tonight, it refers to the Jewish coming-of-age ceremony for a non-binary child. Non-binary is another term that we didn't often hear 13 years ago. Of course, we all knew that there were people who didn't fit neatly into one of two gender categories, but we didn't have the same vocabulary back then to describe this experience. In the 1980s, the term genderqueer was introduced, but it didn't gain the traction that the term non-binary has. Decades ago, many kids would instead be given labels like tomboy or sissy, which were often used as insults toward anyone who did not conform to rigid gender roles. Today, more and more kids and adults are reflecting on their experiences of gender and proudly choosing the adjectives and pronouns that more accurately describe themselves. It is incredible how quickly this change happened in our society. And while change can be a beautiful thing, it can also be difficult for some people to process. That is one of the reasons we have had a full year of educational programming about understanding gender diversity, culminating in tonight's Gender Diversity Shabbat service. This educational series all started with a 12-year-old who wanted to have a special Shabbat service about gender. We didn't have enough time to write that service together before this child's bet mitzvah, But that turned out to be a blessing because we were able to take our time and ultimately offer more than one opportunity to reflect and learn about the different gender identities in our community. Our series started with Rabbi Nikki de Blasi and a non-binary Jewish actor named Bon Swensionis talking to us over Zoom about the 6 gender identities mentioned in the Talmud and what it is like to be non-binary in the Jewish community today. Then we had Shannon McKay from He, She, Z, and We come and speak to us about the organization she leads, which supports the parents of transgender and non-binary kids as they navigate their gender journeys. That same night, we also had 2 transgender Jews speak to us about their personal experiences and patiently answer our questions so that we could develop a better understanding of what it is like to be transgender in today's world. After that event, we hosted Dr. Jake Newsom, a historian who taught us about symbols from the Holocaust that were reclaimed by the LGBTQ community and ultimately used as representations of connection and pride rather than isolation and shame. Those who have studied LGBTQ rights and the movement in America know that gender nonconforming people were at the forefront of this struggle for equality. Jews have also been advocating for gender equality for a very long time. That may be because the Torah teaches us, as in this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, that everyone counts in our community. Bamidbar is the first portion in the book of Numbers. This book is called Numbers in English because it begins with a census, an official count of the community. Numbers chapter 1 verse 2 says, Se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, which literally means lift up the head of every person in the community. That's how the Torah introduces the census. This description teaches us that when we take the time to count every person, record their name, and understand their background, we are lifting people up, especially those whose stories were not told as often. Now, Jewish feminists notice that this census focused on men. The stories of women have often been underrepresented, both in biblical literature and in modern medical literature. So much writing focuses on the experiences of men. But Jewish feminists stood up and said it was time to stop sharing only one part of the human experience. We were missing stories from over half of the population. And thanks to their advocacy, scholarship, and efforts, we now have things like the Eskenazi Weiss Women's Torah Commentary, which is used to teach Torah more fully around the world. This is a great improvement when it comes to understanding both the Torah and the vastness of human experiences. But again, some people have noticed that we were still only telling 2 stories, one male and one female, when our community and our tradition include so much more than that. I was privileged as a high school and college student to know of 2 transgender rabbis who worked tirelessly to increase the Jewish community's awareness of more gender-diverse experiences. They taught not only through their words, but also their examples about the power of lifting someone's head up and saying, I want to know you. What is your name? What is your story? You are someone worth knowing. That's what tonight's service is about. Let's lift each other up and celebrate all of our stories, because everyone in our community is someone worth knowing. Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to invite up Lori to share some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Tomorrow there will be Torah study, both in person and virtually. And Sunday marks the last day of religious school, so there will be having a closing day celebration. And Torah Tots will also be meeting from 9 to 10. And on Sunday night, Real Theology Movie Night will feature the movie Eyes Wide Open, not to be confused with Eyes Wide Shut, for those of you who have seen that one. Okay, and Ron will come up in a minute and tell us a little bit about that movie. And then down the line a little bit, on June 5th, Ormy Book Club will be meeting and discussing Kosher Soul by Michael Twitty. And I encourage people to save the date for June 11th, when we will be having our Ormy annual meeting from 11 to 1. So Ron, where are you? Okay, he's going to come up and share a few things about this Sunday's movie, or from there if you want to.
I think everybody's probably read the bulletin summary of it or promotion of it. It'd be a great movie for anybody who wants to see it. It kind of fits in with the topic this weekend, so that's one reason I suggested.
Great.
It's a great movie. It's very somber and very moving about an ultra-Orthodox community in Jerusalem, and it's eye-opening in that respect.
Thank you. And for those who have never attended movie night before, it starts with a potluck, then people watch the movie, and then the rabbi leads a discussion. It's a lot of fun. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Lori. We continue our service with Aleinu. Please rise for the Aleinu prayer. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gdula le'otzeh breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratot, ve'lo samanu kemishbechot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, ve'goralenu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. At this point in our service, we think of loved ones who have passed away recently or at this time in years past. Tonight we remember the yahrzeits of Grace Amos, mother of Beth Levine, Herman Foyer, grandfather of Stan Foyer, Louise Germano, mother of Patricia Doniger, Joseph Preville, father-in-law of Sheila Preville, and Ralph Woods, father of Linda Woods. Are there other loved ones we wish to remember tonight?
Howard Price. Mickey Longley.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. We remain standing as a community of support for the mourners Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash me Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehesh me Rabbah mivarach le'olam olome almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort for all who are bereaved, and let us say, amen. Please be seated. All right. Are we afraid to close with this new song? We're going to try it. All right, we'll do our best. Kol ha'olam kulo Gesher tzar me'od v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and I say the most important part is not to be afraid. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and I say the most important part is not to be afraid. Shabbat Shalom. And thank you, Patricia, for playing piano tonight. Thank you to all of our readers, and thank you again to those who submitted art for tonight's service. Please join us in the back for Kiddush and Motzi, and extra bonus points for those who color coordinated our outfits with our slideshow. Yeah, I don't know, John, if that was intentional, or Lori. Looks great.